What's up, everybody? Let me play our look. Let's get our look. We letting them get in here, Coach. Let them play our theme song, Coach.
Yeah, it's time, Coach. You know, we ain't every day, but when we come with it, we come with it hard, baby.
Oh yeah, no doubt, Coach.
And we talking from experience. We talking about know-how. You know, we ain't thinking about it. We giving it to them.
Oh yeah, oh they getting up in here, Coach. They getting in here.
Man, I like that beat, though. I like that beat, Coach. You know, I got my stripes on today, baby.
Hey, I'd like to welcome everybody to the HBCU Football Coaches Corner, hosted by none other than Johnnie Cole, and I am his trusty sidekick, Rocky Miller. Hey, man, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We got a really big show for you today, and a surprise. You might not like it, but we do have a surprise for you. And so I want to thank everybody. First off, I want to apologize for everybody. We announced earlier today when we put the banner up that we had confirmed with Coach Graves an interview today on HBCU Coaches Corner. You guys saw it live last week, and for whatever reason, we're not able to get Coach Graves connected. I hope there's no serious family issue or anything like that going on where he cannot respond. But I look forward to having the conversation with Coach Graves, and maybe we can reschedule at another time. But with that being said, Coach, we still got an amazing show scheduled for everybody today. I'd like to share my experience at the SWAC Championship and spending time with the Rattlers in Tallahassee. I had a great time, traveling to Tallahassee and spending time. But before we get started with all that, Coach, how you doing, Coach?
Man, I'm doing wonderful, Coach. Wonderful, Coach. I watched a lot of good football this weekend. A lot of good football, and as you know, guys are getting hired and guys are getting fired. The only place they ain't getting hired yet is in the SWAC. And our guys are taking their time and trying to get it done and make the right decisions.
Absolutely, Coach. Speaking of coaching, we might as well bring something up that we've talked about ad nauseum on this show. And I want to, this is a clip from Off Script show last night. It was a great show. We're bringing it up for a particular reason because this is something that Coach Cole has talked about over and over and over again. And I'm glad to see other coaches who are employed, speaking up, Coach. And here's a quick little clip from Outspoken. This was a hour and something long interview that PRAIRIE and Off Script had with PRAIRIE and Scotty had yesterday. This is just a mini clip of it, but this was a very important of it, addressing something that's near and dear to your heart and near and dear to a lot of coaches out there. And I'll go ahead and play it, Coach.
Can you say this, Coach, before you play it?
Coach sometimes hold on.
Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, let them know. Some people don't know it's Coach Simmons, who's the head coach of the Florida A&M Rattlers, who is the SWAC champions this year.
Okay. Gotcha, Coach. And we're going to play this quick clip. I hope everybody can hear it.
I think that's where we as HBCUs sometimes have kind of gotten away from, where it's like, hey, if a guy had a mistake, recruiting violation, some type of off the field incident that, tarnishes image or brand or whatever, like, hey, if he's the most qualified guy, give him a chance. Like, that's what we've done for hundreds of years with our students. Some of our students couldn't get in other institutions, and we gave them a chance. And hell, when other schools would have kicked them out of school, we kept them in school, and they end up flourishing and becoming great people later on. So I think that's, if I was talking to any AD counselor, that's what I would say. Hey, I think some of our better coaches have hadn't been always the cookie cutter whatever, you know what I mean? So I think there's some really, really good coaches out there. So a lot of jobless. And if given the opportunity, I tell you what, this league could really, really take off because there's some guys that I know personally that can coach them during football, that can turn a program around and give you what you want. But you got to get over that initial press conference that some young reporter trying to make his name for himself is going to dig and find a traffic ticket they got 25 years ago and talk about that traffic ticket. So
come on, Coach.
that question, then you go on to the.
All right, Coach Cole, what did you think when I shared the clip with you earlier today, Coach? What did you think when you heard the clip earlier today?
You know, I thought about, you know, when athletic directors in our conference says, you know, put marks where we're going to hire head coaches, you know, with a head coaching experience, you know, somebody that knows what he's doing. And the first thing I thought about is, you know, Eddie Robinson, them coached long, and they coached long for a reason. You know, they were winning football coaches. Now all the winning championship football coaches I know in the last 20 years are on the shelf, you know, that have won national championships. You know, they 60 years old, you know, or 55 up to 60, 65 years old that have won championships, you know, national championships. They've won, you know, conference championships. You know, I could name 5, you know, Rick Comegy, L.C. Cole, Melvin Spears, James Woody, Johnnie Cole, you know what I'm saying? And all these guys are on the shelf, and we can name some more. But because of those incidents or things that happen and people taking their personal views instead of hiring the correct people, I understand the conference got to move on. But these guys teaches young guys how to coach instead of you getting a job and you're not ready for it.
Hey, Coach, I want to tell a quick, Mr. Campbell, me and Mr. Campbell together all weekend, this weekend. We took him and Dr. D, we took a road trip from Atlanta down to Tallahassee and back, man. We spent a lot of time together. But the most important thing I wanted to say today, I was able to go out and have lunch, and I had lunch by myself. I didn't even know anyone. But I want to thank Mr. Campbell for my ability to have lunch today, because it had not been for him, I would have spent all my lunch money at the cigar bar we were at, because my country self, when they didn't have any McAllen 12, I said, go ahead and give us McAllen 18. And I'm thinking Texas Waco prices. He knew that's what I was thinking, and he said, "Oh, wait, how much is that?" And the young lady quoted the price, and yes, we did not want McAllen 18.
No, sir.
And so today I was able to have lunch and a cold drink because Mr. Campbell saved my lunch money, you know, from me having to spend it all on 2 shots of McAllen 18. And so I want to thank you, Mr. Campbell, for that, because you really saved my bacon on that one. You really saved my bacon. Yeah, you really saved my bacon on that one, brother, because I had no idea that in those clubs they would charge you what they were going to charge us for 2 shots of McAllen 18. And just so you guys know, I won't. Yeah. Yeah. And so he said he knew that I didn't want that. And I'm glad the brother spoke up on my behalf. If you need an advocate sometime, that's just what this goes to show. And that's what Willie Simmons was yesterday. He was an advocate for those coaches who don't have jobs. And Mr. Campbell deserved jobs. Hey, and Mr. Campbell was an advocate for a working class man yesterday in a cigar lounge that did not have any idea what he was asking for. And I want to thank you for that, Mr. Campbell, and I appreciate it. But now we had a great time, and let me kind of talk about my experience before we go on. I had a great experience with the Rattlers, man. They are a group of people who are, even though when I went to the game, I did have my Prairie View gear on, and I was in their VIP section, for the lack of a better word. And even in the VIP section with my Prairie View gear on, they were cordial and kind and nice. Now, they were up by 21. But and so maybe they felt sorry for me or whatever. But the people this weekend were tremendous. All the Rattlers, man, from meeting Willie Simmons and his coaching staff to meeting some of the esteemed faculty and alumni to also being with the being in the VIP section of the game that was rained out. I was thoroughly impressed with the enthusiasm that the fans had in the midst of a downpour of rain, very rough conditions on fans, and their spirits were high. They were very excited, Coach. It was an amazing experience for me to be in that atmosphere. Prairie View didn't get the result that they would have wanted, but the atmosphere and the people at Bragg and the Rattlers, man, they were incredible. They were incredible people. And I also like to say this, Coach, and I want to say this on behalf of, what I experienced when I talk to people about Coach Simmons. I talk to people from fans to esteemed alumni and faculty, and they are grateful and appreciative of the job that Coach Simmons has done, not only this year, but the last 5 years. Like, they are so appreciative of what he's been able to do there at the at FAMU. And it doesn't, one of the things that kind of bothered me about the Jackson State fan base dealing with Deion is that even when Deion brought them to the promised land and they started winning, when they were said the only reason y'all winning is because of Deion, they still insisted that they've been like that they've been winning, that they have a winning pedigree when they hadn't won a SWAC championship in nearly 10 years. And when you take credit for being like that, when a man has come in and literally transformed your fortune, I don't think you were able to really give him just due for transforming their fortune. And I was happy to see that the Rattlers are very appreciative of Coach Simmons and the job that he's done for the Rattlers the past 5 years. They appreciate the championship this year, no doubt. But many of them mentioned to me that it's not just this year. They are very appreciative that he took them from 1 and whatever to 6 and 5, and they knew the trajectory he was on. And the championship was just a culmination of Coach Simmons and his staff's hard work, and they certainly appreciate it. And I was happy to hear that, because a lot of times coaches don't get the appreciation from the fan base that they should. In your experience, is that rare in HBCU football or HBCU culture, or is that typical?
Well, first of all, let me get on you for a minute. You went to them BWIs, and that's the greatest thing about HBCU. It's a family, man. I remember when I went in 2009 with Coach Frazier with Prairie View and went to the bar. Man, they sold the bar out. The people embraced me as if I was a Prairie View Panther. You know what I mean? That's the culture and the fanfare of HBCU. Don't let people fool you. You know what I mean? The thing about it is once again, it comes down to us loving us. We got the product. You know what I mean? We got the product, but we got to quit being the crab in the bucket and let the swag flow, man. And we're stopping that from what Willie Simmons said. You know what I mean? And not necessarily just on the coaching standpoint, on the president's standpoint, on the athletic department. Put people in place that deserves the job. Don't take personal views on somebody because you don't like their swag, you don't like whatever. Secondly, you talked about Deion and Jackson State. I think Deion, the way he came in about it, and some of the words that he used about, one guy told me, "Oh, well, Deion is saving the SWAC." That's offensive to a SWAC man. You know what I'm saying? Or Deion is turning Jackson State around, and I think Deion didn't know enough history to praise the history. You know what I mean? You got to give some to get some. But I think, of course, there were some people loving what he done. You know what I'm saying? But some people would have preferred him to do it another way. You know what I mean? Because there's so many greats have came through Jackson State. You know what I mean? And so many great coaches have came through black college. Yeah, I could just pick one thing when he said, I'm putting, names on the jerseys. We had names on the jerseys back in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? So in one aspect, I get it. That we don't praise our legends, because here's one of the keys. When you go on campuses, Rocky, you don't see the information. You don't see the championships and the trophies we don't praise, our legends. Now, I would give you everything on that. I know at my alma mater, you can't go nowhere on campus, and see about football. You can go in the basketball arena and see a couple things, but we got to do a better job of that as HBCUs.
Now let me tell you what I saw when I went in the field to the field house, which is right next to Bragg Memorial Stadium. I saw that there was an attempt to recognize the greats that they had, and I'll name one that's very near and dear to me, Bob Hayes. There was an attempt to recognize those guys or whatever. But when you look at it, in my opinion, when you got a guy like Bob Hayes, who's an NFL Hall of Famer and Olympic champion, you have to do a better job of recognizing him and his contribution to not only FAMU, but how you expect other people to respect him when his alma mater modestly recognize his accomplishments. And I'm just saying that straight up. Like Bob Hayes, in my opinion, deserves a statue, because of what he accomplished, not only for FAMU, but for the country and also the Dallas Cowboys. Go ahead, Coach.
I ain't been on every black campus, but I've been on enough to know that it's not happening, and we got to do a better job of that, of loving alumnus. I say it all the time at Texas Southern, we need to hire more alumnus. When one thing about it, when I've looked at Notre Dame and these people, they got a lot of Notre Dame graduates on campus, a lot of Florida State graduates, a lot of, Grambling does a good job of bringing the guys back. And now that, they got the Eddie Robinson Museum, but that wasn't necessarily from Grambling, it was necessary from Eddie being a national stature, you know what I'm saying? But there's been other schools that, like you say, we gotta do a better job, man. If you don't build your base, and you're standing and let kids know, because I know from coaching, and when we bring these 1A players in, they don't have a lot of respect because they don't know that greats have walked those streets, greats have been in these locker rooms. They don't understand that. They don't even understand, Rocky, that the SWAC is in the top 10 in Hall of Famers. Matter of fact, maybe the top 5 in Hall of Famers. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot about HBCUs that we don't take monies, you know what I mean, and put into. We should, like you just said, Bob Hayes is unbelievable, Coach. I don't know if you know, Jake Gaithers had 3 teams, Rocky. Blood, sweat, and tears. That's what they call them. 3 teams. You know what I mean? We've let that history out the window. You know what I'm saying? Texas Southern in 1970 had 2 first-rounders, Kenny Burrows, 00, and Mike Holmes. You know what I mean? We had Larry Holmes play with the steel curtain, with the arrow in his head. You know what I mean? We've had greats. We've had Daryl Colbert and Donald Narcisse hold the passing record, combination of receivers, for 25 years.
Coach,
that's just at TSU. It's some greats all over HBCU.
So let me ask you this here, Coach. Is there a Black College Football Hall of Fame somewhere in America?
Yes. It's in Kenton, Ohio. And every year, and thanks to Doug Williams and Shea Harris, in the NFL, that have kept that thing going. And then they made a contract with the NFL. And every year they play the HBCU Hall of Fame, Black College Hall of Fame up in Canton, Ohio.
Wow. Okay.
But see, even in that, they kind of make the selections. Our SIDs and our athletic directors should be having hands-on in that. You know what I'm saying? I broke a couple records. One day I want them to call my name out, baby.
Coach, you always fondly remember that you and the great SWAC quarterback Willie Totten threw over a dozen touchdowns one afternoon in the rain in Houston, I believe, Coach.
Yes. That's what Jerry Rice got discovered from the San Francisco 49ers as well.
So
that's a history game, Coach.
Yeah, that is quite an historic game, Coach. And yeah, Coach, let's go ahead and review this here SWAC championship, Coach. I must say it turned out pretty much like we thought it would. We gave Prairie View a chance, not much of a chance. FAMU was able to run the ball for over 200 yards. It was one of those situations where Coach Simmons, Coach, let me ask you this, Coach, because this kind of bothered me at first. In those conditions, in that rain, the field held up very well, by the way. The field held up very well. In those conditions in the rain, it seemed like FAMU could have ran the ball to victory. Like they could have ran for 400 yards.
Right.
But Coach Simmons insisted on passing the football, even in the rain, even when they didn't have to, Coach Cole.
I think that Coach Simmons, the great coach he is, knew that he had the game from day one. We talked about this way in week 4 or 5 that they would win the SWAC conference.
Yes.
We also talked last week. You asked me, well, how can Prairie View? If Prairie View was not putting a lot of people in the box, then Prairie View wasn't being smart or not trying to win this football game. And I told you when Mosa feels pressure, he's not at his best. So I didn't get a chance to see the game, but I can imagine and looking at the stats and reading the stats and communicating with you that Prairie View put a lot of people in the box. And sometimes when you put a little, and I think as an offensive coordinator, your job is to put your football team or your offense in the position to make plays, to have a hat on a hat. And sometimes when you fill that box up and you don't have a hat on a hat, they almost force you to throw the football. So I know the genius that Coach Simmons is, that at times that's what he did.
Well, Coach, he was getting one-on-one on the outside, Coach, and that was an effort to stop the run. But he was able to run the ball effectively even with those guys in the box. He used those, he used that, what you call it, 12 personnel when you have one running back, 2 tight ends. He used that 12 personnel to run the football. He was running it quite effectively. And there were times where he dropped back to pass and Musa couldn't hit his target when the target was wide open. But in my opinion, heck, they could have just turned around and handed the ball off and won the football game going away. But he had those passing plays in the playbook, and he wanted to run them, Coach.
Well, hey, you got to take a shot at it. You know what I'm saying? Throwing the fade route or the go route is like shooting a 3-pointer sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather go instead of grinding it out, let's get the quick touchdown. And then sometimes you got to spread the ball out. But talking to coach and everything, man, they pretty much knew that going into that game, that really Prairie didn't have a chance to win it.
Well, Coach, Mr. Campbell and I and Dr. D, we spent about an hour or so in the field house on a Friday evening before the players went to the hotel, and it was the coaches at that time at the field house. They were quite confident. They were insisted that the boys were ready to play. They were focused and ready to go. And it was almost as if they weren't braggadocious at all. They weren't overconfident or anything, but they were assured. To me, it seemed like they were assured and certain that they were going to win the game. And everybody was real relaxed and loose. And you know how sometimes coaches before a big game, in my opinion, can be uptight and a little short and kind of uneasy. The coaches were very inviting and engaging and nice and kind and communicative. They were just really relaxed, seemed like the day before the game. Unusually relaxed, in my opinion, considering the SWAC championship was the next day.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Coach. When I went to the 2010 championship game and we had Alabama State, I felt that way as well. One thing I knew that Alabama State wasn't going to score on our defense. Our defense finished #1 in the country, and I knew that. And we went in the game without my starting quarterback. So there were some things about me of playing in that game that we weren't going to get beat. The offense wasn't going to get us beat. We was going to run the ball, run the clock down, and get a game to our defense. And that's what we did. We ended up winning 11-6. But at no time in that game, I felt like they could beat us. It was just destiny. They could beat us. When I've always looked at stats and I could tell you how the game, Florida A&M had 23 first downs. You know what I'm saying? To Prairie View's 13. That means Prairie View's defense was on the field a long time. And then when you look at possession, they had the ball 36 minutes to Prairie View's 23. They had 448 total yards, man. That's a lot. You want to be right at about 375.
In the rain, Coach. In the rain.
And they threw the ball 24 times, Coach. They threw it 24. Connected 14. But the one who struggled was Prairie View. You can't throw three interceptions, man, and then give me the short field. But this game was just lopsided, Coach. It's lopsided, and I'll be the last one to talk about the conference, but it's a lopsided conference. And it's been that way for a couple years, and you gotta ask yourself why.
Coach, let me ask you this: coming into the season, you and I talked quite a bit. And we both agreed that FAMU was definitely the class of the SWAC, right? It kind of played out the way we thought it would be. We thought it would be. But I'd like to ask you, Coach, were there any surprises this year in the SWAC as far as you was concerned related to how teams perform, where they placed in their respective divisions? Were there any surprises in your opinion?
I'm gonna tell you this: Alabama State is better than Florida A&M when it come to all around. Alabama State's defense was just as good. They just couldn't score. You know what I mean? They averaged 19 points a game, and their defense averaged like giving up like 15 or something, right in there. You know what I mean? And they finished 7-4, coach. Eddie Robinson, the first year coach that they coached them, he finished 7-4. That's a hell of a season for a guy that's never coached before. You know, they just need to get the offense going with what they do on defense. I mean, you talking about the secondary average about 6'2.5", 6'3" in the secondary, coach. You know, and they getting you that ball back, and they were good special teams. So they made a big jump. Besides that, coach, I mean, I gotta hand it off to TC Taylor as well. You know, coming in behind Deion, all the fanfare. Then Deion took, you know, most of your great players, you know, and he went on to have a great year, you know. But besides that, you know, Valley was still Valley, Pine Bluff was still Valley. I mean, Pine Bluff, Texas Southern, you know, was a big disappointment as well. You know, I thought Grambling, disappointment. Southern limped. Prairie View, nobody, you know what I'm saying? Alcorn, you know, I mean, wow, coach.
Well, three teams, in my opinion, coming in that I thought would probably win the West, coach. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. And not either of those teams won. I thought
Now,
either Grambling.
Before you answer that, Rocky, you asked me what was basically the good things about the league. I gave you those three. FAMU, you know, Alabama State.
Well, give me the disappointments now, coach. Go ahead.
Texas Southern, disappointing. You know, bad. 5-year coach, been in over there 5. The only other coach that's been there longer was Fred McNair, and he's beaten Fred McNair last 3 years. Lost to Pine Bluff at the end of the year. Stumbled against Prairie View, had Prairie View by 17 going into the fourth quarter, coach. 17 points, you know. And when you look at the rushing, he averaged over 10 yards of carry. Why would I, if I'm up 17 going into the second half, I ain't never throwing this handoff all day. I thought Coach Hugh Jackson would do better. You know, Grambling, you know, trying to get it going in the right direction. I seen him against Prairie View. I seen him before that. I seen him the first of the year. I think he lost to Hampton. I thought he was going to get it going in the right direction. You know, I think that Coach Jackson wasn't ready to coach in HBCU. You know, Rocky, you know, everybody always talk about going out and getting these great guys and coming to the HBCU when you should be coming to the HBCUs and getting these guys who have done so much with so little. What you think they can do with something, coach? You see what I'm saying? So it should be opposite almost. Alabama A&M, you know, coach fell off at the end. Coach Maynard fell off at the end. I thought he could have done better. Southern, I mean, wow, they are not the Southern that people expected them to be. You know, Southern, Prairie View, you know, they got to get better, coach. They got to get better. It's like everybody was beating everybody. You know, and nobody was just standing out among the group.
You know, I really thought Alcorn would have a better showing. I thought Grambling would have a better showing. And I honestly thought Southern would have a better showing. Those three teams combined, you know, in my opinion, was a disappointment. Even Coach McNair coming down the stretch, losing against TSU on the road by 30 points, coach.
In his championship game. Championship game, coach. Eastern Championship on the line.
Yeah, coach. That was a disappointment for me because I was expecting Alcorn for Coach McNair, who I think is one of the better coaches in the SWAC, to face off Willie Simmons at Bragg, and I expect that to be an epic game. But it wasn't meant to be when they went to TSU and got waxed. You know, and then for TSU the following week to go to UAPB and get beat, get ran down again like they did it, basically finish the season the same way they started the season, coach, by giving up a late lead. It was just disappointing.
Yeah.
With everything happening in the SWAC and the momentum that's around the FAMU program, what do the other schools have to do to dethrone FAMU?
Coach, you got to get better. You know what I mean? You got to go back and evaluate your program and what you're doing. You got to recruit better, because they beating you with better players as well. Teams that really stuck with them is, like I said, with Alabama State. They got some kids over there, coach. Again, I can't say enough about Coach Robinson and his staff. All right, Alcorn is always in the middle of the road. Of getting it where it's going, but Southern's got to do a better job. This selection, this coaching selection today, they need to get it right, because Southern University depends on the BAYOU Classic. They depend on winning seasons, because everybody in that city go buy a season ticket, and when you ain't winning, ain't nobody buying season tickets, coach. And Southern University depends on that.
Here's a comment by someone, coach. Every week I see comments about Coach Cole should be coaching. When is some AD going to make it happen, coach? That's from C7 Logistics.
That's that's the $1 million question, coach. That's the $1 million question. And I'm here and I ain't going nowhere. And you know where to find me. So.
Coach, it's interesting that the fan base, the HBCU fan base, certainly recognize you as a competent coach. Honestly, coach, I just think it's a matter of time before an AD, a head coach, or somebody reaches out to you and talks to you about an opportunity. I know you're eager to get back in the game, coach, and I know that there are opportunities out there that they're going to show themselves, and you're going to be on the sidelines sooner rather than later.
But this is one reason why I started this show, Rocky, for stuff like that don't happen to me. If I can't get on the field and show it, then maybe I can help another HBCU coach or a black coach, to get the opportunity and the flowers that they need. We don't have no other channel, right? Tell me, I ain't seen no. Have you seen any of them on ESPN?
No.
I see Jay Skywalker. I see the young lady that he with, and then every time you have a black college game, you don't see no black college former coaches nowhere. You know what I'm saying? You don't see no black college player that played, on the next level or whatever, analyzing the game. We don't get no love, in this country, coach. But we don't take care of business, coach. We don't do business. Again, hit your deal, coach. We gotta get serious about football, man. Coach, I had a coach call me and a job opened up. He was a defensive coordinator. And they go to another university. And when he went back to get his stuff, the president called him and said, "Hey, coach, you ain't staying here. You going with the other guy to the other school?" He said, "Well, coach, I'm the defensive coordinator, assistant head coach. You haven't offered me a job." So the president goes in his pocket, coach, pulls his phone out, and shows him Texas that some of the people on the board is saying, "Don't hire this guy. Don't hire this guy." And this guy's the defensive coordinator, coach.
Already at the school.
Already at school, coach. They went from 0-10 to 7-3, and he's been there 2 years. Do you think he had something to do with the
success of the team? Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Why would board members get involved with who's hiring the head coach? I don't know. Now,
well, you know,
we got to do business.
The HBCU community, what I'm learning, coach, is a very small, close-knit group of people. And everybody, just like you, coach, I thought it was rare that you're a guy that knows everybody, coach. You know everybody. You have relationships with everybody in coaching, administration, and stuff like that. I spent some time with Mr. Campbell earlier today, this weekend, and he's a guy that he knows a lot of people. So my point is saying is the community is not nearly as big as I thought it was. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, coach. And at some point, people have to put their personal feelings aside and allow the people responsible for hiring quality coaches to do their job, whether it be ADs, head coaches, so on and so forth, so that the quality coaches can, get the jobs that they deserve and the schools need. Willie Simmons said this in that clip. He said, if we could hire those coaches who are currently unemployed, this could be one hell of a league. Yeah. He said that. That's the man who just won the SWAC championship. Understanding that there are currently 3 jobs open. He said it, full chested. And he went on to say later on, and I suggest everybody go back and watch the whole Willie Simmons interview. He went on to say later, he said, there are some guys out there that are on the shelf that if they were coaching the SWAC, I would be worried. That's what he said.
Yeah. In the product, coach, the product is better. You got to put a good product on the field. I'm not saying just at one school. I'm saying at all the schools. Mississippi Valley, and I'm not down on the head coach over there. Why would you go out and hire a receiver coach from a PWI to come work at Mississippi Valley, coach? You know what I mean? Why would you go at Pine Bluff and I've just named some championship coaches, that you've been a perennial loser for years. For years. You know what I mean? And what I think sometimes our administration guys don't coach for money per se. It's the nostalgia, it's the camaraderie ship that a guy would take $90,000. And look at Dion. Look at all the PWI's coaches he got. He had got a guy that was the head coach at Kent State, left Kent State to come work with him in Colorado. He took a pay cut. And that's what I think our administration don't understand. Guys' hearts are in this job, coach. You know what I'm saying? Guys are spending more time in the office and getting things done than they spending it at home. So for you to take a personal vendetta against a person, well, I don't like his swag, or he looks like he, talk with girls or whatever. Wow, coach. That's tough. Man.
Coach, you hurt somebody's feelings, coach, because it said, hold on now, coach. Texas Southern is not a perennial winner. Use them as examples. Not just UAPB. But I'll tell you this.
I
Texas,
stand corrected. We are a perennial losing program, and you are correct. I just don't know nothing about it. When I had to him, no, you're correct.
so it says Fred McNair is heading to TSU again. And I'll say this: if a man already has a job and he's looking for another job, it don't take all day to hire that guy. You understand what I'm saying? If that guy's gonna take the job, he's gonna take it right away, or he's not really trying to leave. To be honest with you.
Well, our resources are saying that Alcorn has upped the ante and has made his contract right, but he hasn't signed anything yet. And I guess he'll go through the interview and he'll continue to use Texas Southern to get more money, and he's doing it the right way. I mean, that's what this thing is all about. So I guess he'll hold on till he interview, and then he'll go from there.
And this is another one says, if PWIs can rehire the likes of Petrino and Patino, what's stopping HBCU ADs from hiring the Cole brothers? That's a great point. That is a great point. That's a great point. Hey guys, we do have the call line open. I saw a few people calling in and we didn't get to them. I promise you, if you call in from here on out, we will get to you. We were trying to cover something, but I wanted to cover one more thing, Coach. Well, let me just got a couple things. I want to recognize these players that were recognized as the SWAC award winners. We had Jeremy Musa as the Offensive Player of the Year. We had Isaiah Major of FAMU, Defensive Player of the Year. We had Jace Wilson of your alma mater, TSU, Newcomer of the Year. We had Javon Robinson, Grambling State, Freshman of the Year. And we had the SWAC Championship coach, Willie Simmons, Coach of the Year. Do you take issue with any of those selections?
Wow, Coach. Florida A&M had the offense and defensive player of the year, Coach. I don't know when the last time that ever happened. Shit, that
I think it happened a couple the last 3 years.
Oh, with Jackson State.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I ain't in it that much. I know I used to be on that other end, but yeah, Coach, if that's the way they voted, the coaches voted, that's the way they feel, and you can't say enough about Musa and the things he done, and definitely the defense, But I thought Alabama State's middle linebacker was pretty damn good.
That's what I was gonna say, Coach. The one I looked at was the Defensive Player of the Year. I thought Alabama State had a great player, and choosing Jace Wilson as the Newcomer of the Year, Coach. I just think there were, several. Well, the player I was thinking about wasn't new to the SWAC. He was an intra-SWAC transfer, so maybe he was the best player that had, coming from another conference.
Well, Jace Wilson was coming from Fordham up in New York, school. So he was a transfer as well.
So and also the quarterback from Alcorn, Allen. I'm not sure if he was a transfer or was he there before either, but it was a surprise to me that TSU had an honoree, Jace Wilson.
Yeah. Well, I gotta give you 2 hoorays. Hooray.
All right, Coach.
Wait, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Coach.
I was saying that now that Andrew Body has entered the portal, he got the spot all by himself. So whatever new coach coming in, he'll be taking those marching orders from the next person.
Hey, Coach, and this is interesting. I don't know if you know this guy, Charleston White. I want to bring this up. Charleston White if you're familiar with he's a YouTuber, an internet sensation, and he did a sit-down interview with the NFL icon, Cam Newton. He had a sit-down interview with him, and I just want to play a brief little clip of what he had to say about HBCUs in that interview. I want to give you guys a warning. There is profanity in this particular clip. I mean, this particular audio. If you have young children listening or whatever, or if you don't want to hear profanity, I suggest you close your ears or whatever. But we're going to play this clip because I think it's important. To hear. I want to get your thoughts, Coach.
Nigga, I know the East Side Falcons used to play, so I know about Deion.
Hey, that ain't respect worthy for you to say, you know, even though
no, that ain't respect worthy. Because what I saw was, and I ain't really saying fuck Deion, I'm telling black people to say fuck Deion. Because what happened, we took our love and our support to Colorado, and we forgot about all these HBCUs that's winning or losing. We ain't said high five them. We don't know one black coach at HBCU.
Okay, now stop. Because like I said, behind everything that you say has some truth. But to that, I would suggest you say in that statement, I ain't gonna say per se, fuck Deion. But look, let's leave that part out.
I'm saying it.
But what we receive would be like, yo, even though Deion Sanders had to make a professional decision to go chase a bag that Jackson State didn't necessarily have, let's not forget about the other HBCU coaches that's out there.
Let me just say, Deion knew they didn't have a bag when he took that on. It was already an agreement that we know we go struggle. He even agreed to give portions of that to that facility. He already knew this. The white folks just came and do what they always do. Come get the nigga and take the attention that he was going to bring to the spotlight on the HBCU. Now this big old light that could have been on these HBCU is now on this one white school that's 92% white.
So let me ask you this.
And I'll stop it right there, Coach. What do you think about Charleston White's comments?
Well, I think he needs to do a little more digging. You know, Deion is not the savior for a black college, you know, HBCUs. HBCUs been here, they're going to be here. You know what I mean? My thing with Charleston White is, won't you figure the marketing strategy? You know celebrities. You know, you're sitting there with Cam Newton, and won't these celebrities get together and do some type of major, you know, across the world fundraiser to raise, you know, $1 billion, $1 million, and give them back to Bach College? Won't we do that every year instead of killing the one guy that came through? Deion's just a football coach. You know what I'm saying? He came through as a football coach. He's coaching his son. He did a great job, just like any other white coach would do. Coached at a 1AA school. He won. He sold it. It's time for him to go. Deion couldn't accomplish no more at Jackson State. You know what I mean? What we got to do at HBCU is take care of the business part of it, Rocky. We got to do business right. You know what I mean? We got to take ownership of what we ain't done right. Do you know back in the 60s and 70s, HBCU used to win all the doggone time, massive crowds. We didn't take advantage of those days and build up in our athletic program. Athletics, coach, have been one of the spearhead for African Americans to get out of poverty in the depth of time. But then we start getting these guys that didn't play athletics and taking over these presidency jobs and not putting the money where it should be. You know what I'm saying? PWIs have made sacrifices to turn it around. The average black person, average black family in America make between $45,000 and $50,000 a year. Because they don't have money to give back to black colleges, man. They barely making ends meet. But then we got these celebrities. We all want to jump on football players or LeBron James or Michael Strahan. It's some other black folks out there that makes money as well. And I think that our celebrities, if they're really concerned about HBCUs, come together. Don't jump on Dion. Don't jump on Michael. Come together. Jay-Z, we got some of the greatest entertainers in the world. Don't we, Rob?
Yeah.
Greatest
But
entertainers in the world.
let me give you another point of view, or not another point of view. Just kind of explain what he was talking about. He said Dion brought the public, the fanfare, the fans, not HBCU fans. He brought just the casual football fan to HBCU football. People like myself, Coach, brought me to HBCU football, and then, you know, use that platform to create an opportunity for him and himself. And he's talking to black people. He's saying that casual fan now took their interest away from HBCU football, away from Jackson State, and excuse me, and they followed Dion to Colorado. And he said that doesn't advance the progress of black people. That only continues to feed and add dollars to the coffers of Colorado, a 92% white university.
Can I say, we talked about this earlier in the show,
Yeah.
where I was saying about Dion, you know, at times he took the wrong approach. He was more damaging sometimes in HBCUs than he was helpful. You know, he called the governor one time, you know, talked about Pell Grants and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, he made several comments about stuff he really didn't make about. You know, Dion was just learning the game. You know, he just was, you know, but we should want black coaches. You know, my young black coaches, they're coaching in pros. You know, I got several of them. They coached under me. You know, coach at the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, one is coaching at the Baltimore Ravens. I tell them, don't come back to HBCU. You know what I'm saying? I tell them, you know, to keep, because the more we got up there, the more we could be able to bring up there. Each one, teach one, each one, bring one. You know, that's my solution. But I think the HBCUs need to get together, and I've said this several times, and put together a TV package with all the bowl games, or I mean the classics, saying, and be able to go sell that package, you know, not for no 10 million, no 5 million. We need to be asking for 75, $100 million. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need to do. So right now, until we come together, you know, we got to stop pointing fingers, man, and start, you know, because when you point one out there, you got 3 or 4 coming right at you. And I think we could do a better job of marketing HBCUs. We do a better job of putting good head coaches in these situations and good ADs. We need to hire good ADs as well in these situations, and good presidents. You know, these presidents got to stop thinking that the campus is theirs. You know, we got to hire people around these black colleges that have skin in the game. You know what I mean? They got skin in the game, Rocky. They don't walk them. They don't stay in them dormitories, and they care about making this school great.
Absolutely, Coach. And as we, you know, talk about Dion and Charleston White's comments, you know, it brings me back to the notion that HBCUs and HBCU people should take care of those universities and not wait for a savior or someone to come from the outside to either illuminate or create fanfare around athletics, HBCU colleges, whatever. It's the people within the community. And when I think about that, Coach, that's also the good and the bad about HBCUs. Because I think HBCUs should be supported by the people within the HBCU community. But I also think black people as a whole should be given the opportunity to see this product the same way I did, Coach, and adopt a love and a passion for it the same way I did. And there's some way that you have to show it to the masses, so to speak, right? While also having that HBCU community take care of that product, take care of those institutions and universities. I'm not an expert on how that should be done, but at the end of the day, I think that's the same way that the casual fan feels comfortable supporting Alabama, Georgia, Florida State. They ain't never been on none of these campuses whatsoever, but they are compelled to support those universities. I think there are Black people all over America that be willing to support Jackson State and Southern and Alabama State and UAPB and Prairie View and FAMU because of what those schools represent and become fans of those schools. But right now, there's not a marketing strategy that exposes Black people and the general public of what those schools have to offer, not only in athletics, but also in education. So
let me say this. We've had the biggest opportunity to go out and find monies to help HBCUs when the unfortunate death of the gentleman, I'm
George
talking
Floyd.
about George Floyd. All right. I think we didn't take advantage of that. Here's what the PWIs do, Coach. They take athletics and understand that athletics is the horse, is the workhorse. They're gonna feed him the greatest hay. They're gonna rub him down. Or what I'm saying, if you don't understand that, they're gonna put money into their athletic program because it's the biggest revenue on campus. Usually the head football coach is one of the biggest celebrities. He's out front. When you look at these top 4 schools, I like somebody to come in. Do they know the president of Michigan? Do they know the president of Alabama? Do they know the president of Texas? Do they know the president of Washington? No. And he stays behind the scene and continues to go out and raise money. Do they know the AD of those 4 schools I just told you about? No. Those guys are out making money, selling the program. Here's what the other PWIs do. They make they make it where they have academics where a kid can come there and go to school and get a 4-year degree in park and recreations, hotel management. They make it where these athletes can come in, because I went to school, Coach. If it wasn't for football, I wasn't going to school, man. I went to school to play football and then end up getting a degree in civil engineering. But, Coach, they make it where these kids can come in and make it through 4 or 5 years because they understand the struggle. They understand that we got to have a winning football program. At HBCUs, we got what we call independent studies, but we need more degrees for these guys to come in. So our football players, and women and men, can be eligible and be able to have a great football program. They make it, Coach. I've coached before where I had a transfer come in, right? And he had an I in the class. And I'm like, man, well, I don't transfer. You got to go get that I change. Shit, Coach, he went right back to that school. Boom, he come back with an A. Because they believe in having great football programs.
Yeah, this guy said, come on, Rocky, how can a Black man expect Deion to turn down that type of payday for him, his kids, and selective coaches? Now again, I've always said that Deion did the right thing for him and his family, and I can't argue that, And I think overall, if he's successful, he can be a conduit to allow to other coaches to be seen as viable, Power 5, Group of 5 coaching candidates. I'm going to be honest with you guys, and I'll say this. if Willie Simmons was Willie Fritz at FAMU, he wouldn't be at FAMU. As
Or
talented,
somebody be trying to give him a job now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a championship coach. He's won what? Lost what? 2-3 games in 2-3 years.
I want to say Coach Simmons said this the other night. He's 45-4 in conference games since he's been a head coach.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big, coach.
You know, if
Coach,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, Rocky. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying if Coach Simmons was white, and I'll say it straight up, he wouldn't be at FAMU. Someone would be trying to hire him away from FAMU. But the situation is what it is in college football. And maybe Dion, this dude is tripping. Maybe Dion his success, if he's successful, that will give other black coaches an opportunity to coach at the Power 5 and the Group of 5 level. Because again, go ahead.
Can I say this about Dion?
Mm-hmm.
Dion took black coaches with him. Dion probably is the first African-American coach that has got a PWI job, a FBS PWI job. And when he's sitting at his table, he's looking at more black coaches than white coaches. Most of these black coaches who get these PWI schools do not hire black coaches. They sit there and they 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 black coaches. Dion took some black coaches and he took some from HBCU with him. I gotta give him love, coach.
I do too, coach. I just think I agree with Charleston White that a whole lot of black people took their focus off of HBCU football and went to Colorado with him, right? That's what I agree about. But that's the celebrity, that's the star power, and that's why Colorado hired him. You know what I mean?
Let me say this to you, coach. And this 95% of athletic directors in college are Caucasian. All right. So they don't hire people look like themselves. Here's a prime example. Jay Hobson at Alcorn came through there, won 2 championships, NCAA violations. And you know what he got? He got a job at Southern Miss. You mean to tell me Willie Simmons can't go coach at Southern Miss or some other small time PWI school? Man, it's on his face, coach. I don't have to say what it is. But until we start playing and hiring good coaches to be able to go into these playoffs, LC Cole right now. You know, I got to talk about my brother, coach. He was in the PWI conference. He's the only black coach to coach NCAA football and beat PWI schools. He was 21-1, coach, in the OVC. 21-1. The last black coach, the last black team to win a national title. I mean, not win a national title, finished #1 in the nation in FCS. He's got every Coach of the Year award, and he's not coaching. He's not somewhere. And he graduated from a PWI. That's all I'm saying, coach. That's all. We got time, coach, and the HBCUs got time to blackball a coach. We got time to not hire qualified people because of some personal view or some aggression that they had in life. Rocky, I'm talking tonight.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
do
coach.
We got time to do that?
No, coach. Let me and I just want to remind callers that you can call in. Our call-in number is 518-351-9464. That's 518-351-9464. We're discussing the comments that were made by Charleston White about HBCUs and how Dion took Black America attention off HBCUs and put it on Colorado, a school that's 92% white, and the ramifications of that. My thoughts is, at the end of the day, Deion did was in the best interest of his family. And Coach Cole, as Coach Cole pointed out, he also took some black coaches with him. So he fulfilled his obligation, not only to himself and his family, but also the black community by creating opportunities for other black men. I can't disagree with that, Coach Cole, and I think that was a great analysis of what happened. But I want to address this comment by Owen Lawson. Owen Lawson says, why this fascination with coaching at Power 5 level? I just don't give a damn about FBS schools. We invest too much in the other side of town and what is over there. Okay, so here's what I say. I'm not from a coach's perspective. I'm from a sheer fan perspective. It is seen as the best coaching, the best players play in those leagues. And I believe, and those players happen to be black. And I believe those black players that play for those predominantly white universities should have the ability to play for black men, right, at those institutions, since they are wearing those colors and those jerseys. That's only fair to me. If the best players are going to those institutions and those institutions are recruiting those black players, then those black men, once they go through the system, graduate from those universities, and they want to become coaches, they should be given an opportunity to also coach if, in fact, they want to coach there as well. Period.
Too, Coach. I've just said it earlier at black schools. You guys got to put money into athletics, Coach. If you want to be able to compete for those players at the FBS level, you got to put money into athletics. And I know the state doesn't fund athletics. And you talk about getting monies from these big donors, they have. Well, there's big companies, that's out there that maybe won't. We gotta, like you said earlier, we gotta put together a better marketing style. We gotta be serious about if we want to have good athletics. Like I said, we shouldn't run away from athletics. We should run to it. Like you say, all these players that's playing for these PWI schools, they would love to come, and play. But ain't nobody. If I can't come in and look at 100,000 fans come to a game, you know what I'm saying? To a nice stadium and a nice place. When you go look at Mississippi Valley and some of these stadiums that we have, and the product. It's the product.
And not to mention that the tax dollars from black men and women who go to work every day are paid to those institutions to support those institutions, whether it be Mississippi, University of Texas, whomever. Our tax dollars are supporting those schools, and most certainly our black men should have an opportunity to hold those positions. Coach, we got a call. We got a caller with the last 4897. You're live on the HBCU Coaches Corner with Coach Cole. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Owen, and I'm calling from Tacoma, Washington. I appreciate you reading my comments, Rocky.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, so let me go deeper on this. If I heard what you said correctly, you talked about the best athletes having the right. They should have the ability to play for the best coaches.
No. You've been stated that. I said.
Oh, for black coaches.
The best coaches should have the opportunity to coach the best athletes. And those athletes, once they go to those universities, should have an opportunity to eventually, if they want to go into the career of coaching, to coach at those universities. That's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Okay, fair enough. And I don't have any disagreement with you on that. Rocky, I'm in the minority in the audience tonight,
Why is that?
Because
She's a woman.
I bring this perspective to the table. No, I'm not a woman. My voice is just high. I'm a guy. But where I come from, and by the way, Coach, I followed your brother. I lived in Nashville when they had Leon Murray. I go way back. I followed that big blue squad. I watched them lose to the North Carolina A&T Aggies in Nashville in the FCS playoffs.
Yes.
But
Yes, we do.
Rocky, I want to go back and basically go one step further. I stopped watching the National Football League in 2014. And you know why I stopped, Rocky?
Why is that?
Because I felt like, and maybe I'm out on a limb here, but I felt like black men built that league. And when we look at the National Football League today, Magic Johnson owns a 4% ownership stake in the Washington Redskins. Before Walter Payton died, he went to the league and he said, I want a team in St. Louis. I want to be part of ownership. I want to have a significant role in ownership. And the league, well, all we need to know is Walter Payton ain't never been no owner of a football team. And so my point is, Rocky, I'm vibing with you that I'm in agreement with your statement around what coaches should have the access to who excel in their craft. But I think there's a bigger conversation to be had in our community is like, we're going to have to get out and compete and build a product that competes with an exploitative NCAA. All of these years, when you walk through the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, the number of black players from historically black colleges and universities is not, it's statistically significant. You will see a lot of those schools. The number of HBCUs that are in the universe, and we don't have one black conference at FBS level. We represent over 10% of the population, and we don't have one black conference. The last time a black school won the FCS was the first year it was created. And at some point, we have to make the decision to say, we will go build our own and compete. And what that looks like, the Celebration Bowl has built over the years. But even in that model, there's an opportunity to expand, to say, hey, let's do a +2 so that you could do a tie-in with the also-rans, with the suburb HBCUs. My beloved Aggies left. They decided they needed to go to the CAA. Disagree with the decision, but it's done now. But last year, you tell me you wouldn't have paid to see North Carolina A&T play FAMU in a +1? And if you just had those two games and you let those games run for 3, 4, 5 years, you build the impetus for a black national championship that everybody's buying into. Right now, as a North Carolina A&T fan, I sit on my hands most years because I don't really care about the CAA. I want to be in a conversation around what's happening in Atlanta, right? And I'm saying this is what can be unleashed, and I just don't understand the fascination of
FBS.
If we get big enough and good enough, we can be in FBS. I don't give a...
So
you look at the number of athletes that are disenfranchised by the FBS model. Kids who gave their hearts for the University of Alabama, and 10 years later, don't nobody in that program know them, unless they were just all-stars. That tends not to be the way in HBCU land. So I'm not with the crowd who's like, we got to keep building this, and then one day we'll be in the FBS. I've had enough of the FBS model.
Yeah.
So that's the additional color I wanted to provide.
Well, I want to thank you for your comments, and I'll respond to it. Respond to them. Once you hang up, okay.
Have a good night.
You too. So here's the deal. I understand what the caller wants, and I'll also get Coach Cole too. the caller wants a all black platform that black people play in, that black people support, right? But I ask you, where does that exist other than church? I'll wait. We don't have an all black platform that exists outside that's separate, that's completely separate from white people. And I don't think that our colleges should operate in that fashion either, right? I think we could live up to the values in which those colleges were founded, right? You know, by educating black young men and women, but they also can operate in the fashion that where eventually those schools, those universities who's making, because you got to understand, those universities don't have necessarily an alliance to one another. I think it's okay for A&T to pursue their own individual goals, Hampton to pursue their own individual goals, understanding that they probably made a mistake in the long run, right? And they still can backtrack if they choose, but not everybody wants the same thing. So I understand what you're saying, Owen, but at the very least, if they're gonna play in this thing called the NCAA, and there's a school in North Carolina that has over 20,000 students that aspires one day to be an FBS school, why can't they pursue that goal, Coach, of being an FBS school? Because that FBS school gives their an opportunity to provide better resources for their players, better accommodations for their players, better salaries for their coaches, better compensation for their staff. Like you understand why it's important for a program that's able to elevate to go ahead and elevate if they can.
My take is, if we done that, I think we would be moving backwards. I think we're moving forward, but we're not moving fast enough. Again, in the 70s, when black players had started joining PWI schools, but we hadn't caught up on the administrative part, whether it's the head coach, whether it's the head trainer, whether it's the athletic director. We're not getting those jobs. And to me, if the NCAA was worth its salt, then they or maybe we need to go to the federal government on saying, we just got rid of affirmative action. Man, that was a major mistake, because we need affirmative action in college athletics. Not only are we not getting head football jobs, we're not getting head softball jobs, wrestling jobs, swimming jobs. You know what I mean? Now they're holding on to those jobs and saying, well, there's no black swimmers. That's what they give us. Well, there's not many white football players or basketball players. You know what I'm saying? Then why can't we get those jobs? And they're federal funded, they're state funded. That's where the argument is to me. The NFL, that's like owning Xerox and Target, and those are owned by individual. It's gonna be hard as heck to tell a billionaire, I'm gonna tell you who you gonna hire.
Coach, we got to call up.
I don't think we there. I think we got to get head college jobs, Coach. We're still down in the 5 and 2 and 3% on the FBS jobs. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And then when we do get the FBS jobs, they are the jobs that don't nobody want. You know what I'm saying? We're not getting, we got Notre Dame at one time before. He did a great job.
Freeman has it now.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We got a job in Texas one time, and they ran the coach off there. You know what I mean? Hey. We got to demand that they do a better job, of affirmative action or whatever. I know it's got kicked out, of giving black coaches, not HBCU coaches, Black coaches opportunities to be head of these other jobs. And I think once that happened, then you'll see a major turnaround. It's good in basketball, you know, or it's better. Let me say, it's not great. It's better, and it can be better, but it's terrible in football. And not only as the head coach, the assistant coaches, the trainers, the equipment managers, it's not working out for us.
Hey, Coach Caller with the last 45899. You're live with Coach Johnnie Cole on the HBCU Coaches Corner. What's your name and where you calling from?
Jay Baton Rouge. It's just a sound that our people always got to seek white validation to be accepted. And Charles White had a point. If Deion Sanders had a state of Jackson State, that could have been our black Alabama, our black Notre Dame. That would have transcended other HBCUs, being filled with people like in the top 300 talent each year in the high school rankings. We probably would have got 50 or 60 of it. Next year, probably got 10 more of it. Just like back in the 70s, the true blue bloods of HBCU football, Tennessee State, Grambling, Jackson State, Florida A&M, and you can say honorary Alcorn State. If he had a state, man, I was at Jackson State games. You had Asians coming there, East Indians, whites. It was starting to happen. But we somehow got to get validation from white people. We got the best talent. You go to these schools, these Power 5 schools, making millions of dollars for the white students, for the whites. Most of those black kids don't even graduate. HBCUs, they graduate. Those players playing at PWI, they don't even graduate. They living off in the world about where they played at, hoping to get some sort of job or income, whatever. But we as black people, spending power is $1 trillion in this country. We can take half of that, and we don't need nobody else. We have our own networks. We build our own institution. And all we got to do is go in the doors and ask them all, yo, send your kids to us. We're going to protect them. You never see no HBCU.
Well, let me ask you this. What about those institutions that are owned and ran by the states?
Well, an institution ran by the states. You know, we have to sort of look how Tennessee cheated Tennessee State, owed them $250 million. Just like all HBCUs, look at the record books, they've been cheated about $1 billion. We have to fight for, we're freedom fighters in the black community. We have to fight for what we want and get.
But those,
and the money is there, we just.
But I'm saying those institutions are actually owned and ran by the state. Those people that work at those universities are state employees. So my point is, even though they were built to educate black people, those institutions aren't owned by black people. They owned by the states.
Okay, when I say we have $1 trillion spending power, if we as collectively get together, which is going to be hard to do, we wouldn't need the state.
Can I say something? You know, we as black coaches don't need a black school to be validated. I mean, a guy like me, I always wanted to work at a HBCU. But what has happened to me in my career, man, I see why. You know, I look back on my career, maybe I should have stayed at the University of Cincinnati when I was there. You know, because my talents and everything is excellent talent. But when you take talent like that and you come up with all these things about it, and then all of a sudden you mess the man's career up, I see why Deion left. Look, Pete Richardson won 17 years in a row, coach. What and how can Southern be in some type of financial hardship when he won 17 years? He had one losing season in 17 years. Coach Broadway at Grambling, and of course about Eddie Robinson, did they build up the athletic program? Doug Williams. Grambling let Doug Williams go, Rocky, the second game of the year in mid-season. And you know what year it was? It was the 25th year that he had won the Super Bowl, the only black coach. We can't keep doing that and expect for this talent to stay there. You know, we're in a different time now. And I think there's a lot of great black coaches that can still be in HBCU, but move on to the PWIs. And I think that we need state senators and congressmen and stuff like that to help us move some of these old school people out of the way at these PWIs and give some of these, not give, but choose black coaches that are qualified to be coaching at those schools.
So, Coach, the gentleman, High Tech, or I don't know if it's a woman or a lady, but I want to say this. Well, the white schools are run by the state as well. What's my point? My point was the gentleman was.
That's what you were talking about.
Yeah. The gentleman was suggesting that as black people, we should separate ourselves from white people. And my point is, those schools don't belong to black people. Those schools belong to the state of Texas, the state of Mississippi, the state of Louisiana.
And they ain't owned by white folks.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. They're owned by the state, and that's exactly was my point. Is that what we have to do? And I'm saying black people, right? Whether it's Southern, Grambling, TSU, whatever, we have to have the individual commitment, right, that other communities have to making sure that their schools have what they need in order to operate. When you talk about those state-run institutions, when you talk about the University of Texas, and they say, okay, none of taxpayer funds are used to support the athletic program. That's what they can say. They can say that $100 million budget that they have for athletics. They say none of that money, no tax money is used to support the athletic program. That's because their supporters, the people who love football and other athletics, make sure that they donate and support. I'll bring up Prairie View, for example. Prairie View had by all accounts, a really good season this year. Really good season. And when you look at their attendance ranks last in the SWAC. They're within 40 miles of one of the biggest cities in America, and they have the poorest attendance in the SWAC. Why is that? That's because the people in that community and the alumni do not support that institution. That's why. They don't come out to those games if it's not homecoming or it's not a classic. I ask you that. Why? I don't care if the University of Texas is playing Hamburger State. Darrell Ross Stadium is full. I don't care if they playing North, East, West, whatever. That stadium is full. My point is they support those programs to a fault. And that's what the way we should do as black people with our institutions that we love and support is we support them to a fault. Coach, we got Coach Cole. We got a call. Caller, hold on. I know Coach Cole wants to respond.
No, go ahead and let the caller go. Yo, let's.
Hey, caller with the last 45240, you're live on the HBCU Coaches Corner with Johnnie Cole. What's your name and where you calling from?
What's going on, coaches? This is Joe, man. I think a lot of people is really looking over what Coach Cole is saying. He's saying the main reason is the administration not doing right with the money. We had all the players, just like Coach Cole was saying, we had talent, but we wasn't building up the program. There's no way in the world a high school can have better facilities than a college. And there's plenty of high schools got way better facilities than a college. How can a winning program like Alcorn or anybody else not have top-notch facilities? They're selling games, people going to games. What are the administration doing with the money? They're not investing back into the program. That's how Alabama be able to team their way they are. They reinvest into the program. And that's what Coach Cole is saying. The administrator is not reinvesting into the program. They're just letting it go on down. Okay. And then you start losing players. Because if I take somebody and take them to a high rise, and then I take them, paying player, and take them to the project, where do you think he's going to want to go?
And Joe,
he want to go to a high rise.
And Joe, you're making a great point. And this is I went to FAMU. FAMU won the championship this year. I was in the field house with Coach Willie Simmons and his coaching staff. And again, it was the field house was neat. It was well kept. However, they were high school level accommodations. They were not. There are some high schools with much better facilities
Can I
than
piggyback on
FAMU
that?
coach. Go ahead, Coach.
Do you know that FAMU is the only HBCU coach to win a national title on the FCS level? And you know when they won it? In 1978. And that place looked like that. You know what I mean? When I've taken over programs, coach, and I walked in the door, couches lipped over, chairs broke down. You don't have stuff in the places where you been. You know what I mean? Locker room depleted. Water don't work. Coach, man, I grew up in a family of 9 boys in a 3-bedroom duplex. And our house was always clean. Water always worked. The 2 or 3 pair of pants we had was clean and iron. It don't take nothing to do that. But when you don't have the right people in place, Rocky, that don't understand that all this stuff counts. We went and visited Florida State, and I actually got to see Deion's locker. It's still there in glass, Deion Sanders' locker. And the locker room was so clean. And, I've asked, talking with the equipment man, I said, man, why this locker room so clean? You know what they call it, Rocky? They call it recruit ready. No matter when somebody come in there, it's ready. We don't understand that. And then when you win, and then when you want more money, then you got the people saying, well, you won with that. Instead of saying, we're going to get better every year. Okay, coach, you got 7. I had 7 scholarships in Lane. Okay, coach, you had 7. You're doing a good job. We're going to give you 7 more. Then if you make sure you're bringing in students so we can get their Pell Grant, we're going to give you 7 more. Because we doing what, Rocky? We moving towards having the max amount. You got a school
full accommodation of scholarships.
They had football over 100 years. 100 years. And when I was there, I got the first draft choice. We went in the 3rd round, Jacoby Jones. But the school had been there 100 years, coach.
And can I make one more statement before I go?
Not to do the business, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to make one more statement. And Deion made a perfect point. They go to the Celebration Bowl. The football team gets none of that money. If they go to the Celebration Bowl, they should get all that money. FAMU been to the Celebration Bowl, what? Maybe 4 years straight?
Yeah.
Who?
Just imagine, Alcorn.
Yes.
That was
Alcorn went to Celebration 4 years straight.
Yeah.
I think 3 years.
I'm just saying, they went to 3 years straight. That's $3 million. Just imagine what kind of upgrade they could have did to their facility with $3 million.
Yeah.
But where the money go? Don't nobody knows.
Yeah, Coach. Joe, I think the model that FBS schools have for their athletic department is the model that maybe HBCU should pick up for theirs. If the football team generates the money, they should keep the money. Understanding
they should keep the money.
Understanding that at some point, if you build up your athletic program, it will be able to fund other things at your school like it does at the University of Texas. At the University of Texas, if there's a surplus in the athletic department, they're able to donate money to the institution.
Well, I believe all football programs donate money to other institutions. But what I'm saying, if they do that, the football can be self-sustained off the money they make by themselves. That means the money the football program, the budget the football program got, they make their own money. That way the rest of the money, the football budget can actually go to everybody else, so the football team is actually making their own money.
So what we're saying, D-Lob, is that any money that's generated by the football team should be earmarked for the football budget.
Football team. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. We're saying that the model should not be that the money generated by the football team goes into the general funds that is then divvied up by the president at his discretion. It should go under the auspices of the athletic director and allow the athletic director to improve facilities and provide adequate training tables, so on and so forth for those athletes, because those are the guys that are on the front lines generating that money. Period, point blank, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, and I completely agree with you.
And they're saying,
Joe.
And they're saying, you know what I mean, can't compare Alabama. Once upon a time, Alabama couldn't touch Grambling. Now, I'm pretty sure they had almost the same facilities back then, because it wasn't all this technology. But what Alabama did, they started investing money into the program. Money Alabama was making, they started putting it back into the program, putting it back into the program, putting it back to the program. And that's how it was upgraded. Just a matter of able FAMU put that $1 million and invested into their football program.
And they started recruiting black players when USC beat the hell out of Alabama.
Yeah.
They started recruiting black players. Let me say this too. You know, when I was in OVC,
I'm gonna hang up, Rocky.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, when I was in OVC,
Joe.
Rocky, we were going, you know, playing the PWI schools. And, you know, we went to Western Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, and we went to the game. They had one side of the stadium huge, like a big stadium. Then the other side was small. And talking with the AD and people around it, you know what they were doing, Rock?
What is that?
They built the other side, but they built the PE department underneath it. Why? To get what? State funds. You know, that's creative. So now when you go back to Western Kentucky, or East Kentucky, they built their program up. Now they 1A, and now they getting the TV money and the TV package money. Now they don't finish the stadium off. We could do the same thing, Rob. We could put the PE department right up underneath the stadium, or whatever department right up underneath the stadium. You know what I'm saying? On several floors. You know what I mean? And then have the athletic department somewhere on several floors, or 1 or 2 floors, and get state funds to fund the stadium or fund the field house.
Coach, this is an interesting hire, right, Coach? Stephen Campbell, and I've verified it by several news outlets, that former South Carolina player and coach Joel Taylor has been named the head coach of South Carolina State. And let me just go through his resume that I have. This is from Wikipedia. In 2006, 2005 to 2008, he worked at South Carolina State. Is
he the head coach at West Georgia? Is that what he's saying on two? Was that what he said?
Yes.
Former South Carolina State player and coach Joel Taylor has been named head football coach at West Georgia.
Okay. Yes, at West Georgia. That's where he was. My correction. Okay. He's at West Georgia. He was named the head coach at West Georgia. I misunderstood that.
That's great, coach. That's one of the few black coaches and HBCU coach to get a PW job on another level. Because we do not give them on FCS levels or Division II levels either.
That's interesting, Coach. That's an interesting hire.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Thank you for that.
Appreciate that. And for me, I appreciate all the opportunities that black men get to coach at whatever level as head coaches, because you know how rare that is. I've lived around a major university my entire life, and I remember when there were no coaches on the staff at all, and I even appreciate it now when they have now 5 or 6 position coaches that are black, because that has not always been the case. And those opportunities are important for those black men in those families because they can create life-changing opportunities for themselves, for them and their families, and that's important, in my opinion.
The main thing, Coach, is that we got to take HBCU football serious. We got to put the dollars into these programs, not just football, we're the major revenue sports, and we got to make it important. You know what I mean? We got to make it look right. We got to stay recruit ready when people watch us on TV. We got to do that. And you need people who understand and know football and know funding and know facilities. I ran the facilities, the athletic facilities in Fort Worth, and we got what we call a forecast budget, Rocky. I'm talking to you, ain't I, Rock? Forecast budget. The forecast budget was for money, so when the lights went out, we ain't scrambling for light money. When the turf is bad, we ain't scrambling for turf money. You know what I mean? When the facility water ain't working, we ain't looking for water money. This is money that you put them on a forecast, so on a rotation, Coach. So we're gonna redo all the pipes, in the field house. Next year we're gonna redo the lights and get LED lights. Then next year we gotta do turf. But you gotta have people who know these things, man. Not somebody that never been, a AD and all this. Oh, well, I like it. Come on, man, be our AD. You know what I mean? You can't do that, And if you do it, that's why we're in the predicament.
The football program is the front porch of your university.
Yes.
It is it's the thing that everybody sees first. That's how it is. The athletics is this thing that every kid see. Everybody who attends your university is going to see a representative of your athletic program first. We got a caller, Coach Cole. Caller with the last 40536. You're live on HBCU Coaches Corner. Which Coach Cole? What's your name and where you calling from? Hello, caller. You're live on HBCU Coaches Corner. What's your name and where you calling from? Hello, are you there?
He trying to listen to himself talk.
Nah, I can't hear. I can't hear him. Go ahead and remove him. All right. Go ahead, Coach.
I talk with ADs, especially older ADs and ADs that's been successful, like Patrick Simon. Where is he at? We've put some of these guys on the shelf that still had opportunities, you know what I'm saying? But you got to know all that stuff when you're building a program, like we go out and we buy new uniforms every year, trying to stay up with Oregon when Nike give Oregon new uniforms all the time to market their uniforms. Some places.
Are you there, caller? Caller, are you there? I just removed. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I'm looking at Mr. Hornsby said we have to start giving, and no matter how much.
That's Miss Hornsby. That's Miss Hornsby. That's go ahead.
Okay. We have to start giving, and no matter how much y'all don't want me to say it, we alumni have to do better giving money. And here's what I say. You're correct. And that's why I say that the universities, these HBC universities, got to keep graduates around there. People give money to people. They don't give money to buildings. They give money to people where they feel comfortable in they trust. You know what I mean? Bill Cosby went to Temple, but he gave money to Morehouse and Morris Brown. Denzel Washington didn't go to Morehouse. He gave money through his son. I've gotten money when I was a head coach at different places because they knew me. They knew they felt comfortable. When the national salary of Black people households, Coach, is $45,000, $50,000, How much can they give, Coach? That's why
Not much, Coach.
That's
Not
why
much.
we need these jobs at these PWI schools. It's called economics. You know what I mean?
Hey, caller, you're live on HBCU Coaches Corner with Coach Cole. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, yes, my name's Tony, calling out of Nashville, Tennessee. How you doing, Rocky and Coach Cole? Coach Cole, I want to say to you, man, that we appreciate those years that you and your brother spent in Nashville. I know you guys probably think that a lot of people don't appreciate you guys, but you know, we talk about those times quite a bit. I was at those games when you up at Murray when we won the first one. I still have a piece of the goalpost pad, and then the second one that we won there at that time, I think it was called Adelphia Coliseum. And unfortunately, you guys had too many injuries at the end of the year, because what a lot of people don't realize, a little bit of black HBCU football trivia, Tennessee State was ranked #1 in the country overall. Yeah. That's over North Dakota State and everybody. But because of the injuries that were occurred at that time, we didn't have a full deck of cards, and North Carolina A&T upset us in that first round. But I just want to make a comment on something I put in the chat. And this is my personal opinion. The reason why, from an administrative standpoint, the way things are conducted the way they are, is that a lot of these admin people did not build an affinity or love for football or athletics in general when they were in school. You know, they're the ones that a lot of us complain about, that hang out there in the tailgate, they walk around the concourse and all that. That was when they was in school. And when they transition later on in their life and they get these top-level administration jobs, they feel the same way. Another thing you have to look at is the percentages of female to male ratio. Now, there are a lot of females that love football and they know something about football, but the overall majority of them really don't know anything really that much about football or care that much about it. That's why they're more into the bands. So that's where, as time goes on, that's affecting that support that you guys are talking about. So that's just my opinion. I'll let you guys expound on that and give your opinion. But thanks again, Coach Cole. I hate that we weren't able to take care of you guys the way we really wanted to back in the day. You know, now things are quite a bit different. I mean, anytime you paying, I don't know how much your brother got paid, but they paying Eddie like $400,000. You know, so
my brother's making $75,000. Wow.
Oh man,
$75,000.
That's crazy. But that's just how much things have changed. That's when, and things have changed quite a bit, and there are going to be some big things happening down the road that I can't really speak on. But look for big things from Tennessee State going on in the future, no matter who's the coach. Yeah. But get off, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach Cole, you froze, so you know what to do. You know you got to disconnect and reconnect, and then we got about 5 minutes once you reconnect before we get out of here, man. But you know, I still say, you know, someone made an argument that the front porch argument only goes so far, right? I disagree with that. That at the end of the day, the brand, the primary brand of the university that gets out to the lay people. I'm not talking about the people that's seeking out education or whatever. I'm talking about your institution is introduced to people primarily through their athletic department, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, softball, whatever. That's how your institution is introduced to people. The reason why I know where Lenore Ryan is right now is because they played Benedict in the playoffs. That's how I know. It's not because of what a great school Lenore Ryan is. Caller with the last 45936. You're live on HBCU Coaches Corner with Coach Cole. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This Coach Pep.
Go ahead, Coach Pep.
I was calling because I think I'm calling to give the coaches perspective of the job.
Okay.
And I would like to see Johnnie Cole interview for the Texas Southern job. And I would like to see Mickey Joseph interview for the Southern job. Because Johnnie Cole, he's only won a championship out there at Texas Southern. You at least owe him that much to interview him. And Mickey Joseph, if you compare Terrance Barry to Mickey Joseph, there's no comparison. Because Mickey Joseph, when LSU playing football, he was in Nebraska. One eye is on LSU football team, and one eye in Nebraska. The people down here, they love Mickey Joseph, and Mickey Joseph, that team was undefeated in 2019. That was Mickey Joseph's team. Jamal Chase, Jefferson, Trey Palmer. And he proved that when he went to Nebraska. He bought that program out of the Drakes, and he had 6 games to do it, and he won 4 games. He had to win 5 games. But Mickey Joseph, when he comes in the living room down here in New Orleans, and he's gonna leave with the player, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gonna leave with the player because the parents played with him. The parents know him. The parents associate with him. And when Terrance Barry came, he played in the Chilling League. He able to win in the Chilling Conference, but Mickey Joseph able to win national championship. National. There's no comparison. If Southern let that man leave there and don't hire the man, they deserve what they get. But on the other job, at Grambling, my son is a head coach for Langston University, right? He 58-22.
Wow.
And I would be glad for they to interview him, right? Because when he interviewed for the Southern job, he was 38-5. But I say the school, you gonna go interview for the Southern job, we're gonna cut your scholarship down to 10. And he started losing. But I would like to see Grambling interview him because Langston in 2025 is going to have the first pick in the first HBCU player to go in the draft. His name is Travis Morton. Right. He's 6'3", 210, and run a 4.340 cornerback. All right. Another thing I would like to see. The coaches in the SWAC, you have been coaching 7 years. 7 years. That means 600 athletes then came through your program. And you didn't put them in the NFL. You didn't put them in the NFL. Because when you go out and recruit players, you recruit the players that runs a wide receiver running 4.65 in the 40, and you keep him there for 4 years, and then when he has his pro day, he runs a 4.65, and they don't let him work out because the 4.65. You have to run 4.4s and 4.5. 4.65, it don't make it as a wide receiver. If you come there and stay at that program for 4 years, in 4 years, they haven't taught you nothing. You wasted your 4 years by signing with that college. You wasted your years. And I would like to see the coaches and the SWAC do better because you come with the guys, professionalism, but you don't produce it. All right, I'm Coach Pep for a reason. I am sent high players to the NFL. One guy to Major League, the fastest in the Major League.
Coach Pep, did you coach at Southern?
No, you don't believe. You wouldn't believe how I got into coaching because you wouldn't believe. I've been had players to play at every university. I'm in Louisiana. I had players to play at Southern Cal, UCLA, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Mississippi State, all over the world. If you go into Johnnie Cole just mentioned athletic director. I know him. He hired my son. And he was a very good athletic director, but he's out of the game. But I've been coaching for 42 years. I'm 68 years old, and I had a stroke. That's the reason I'm talking like this. But I carry a lot about HBCU, right? And I carry a lot about HBCU, and I would like to see the coaches pick up their phone sometime. And you never know when a player is interested in you, but you don't pick up the phone, he's gonna go to somebody else. I had players that I took to Auckland. I know he wasn't going to Auckland, but I took him to Auckland. Old Matt Knight, he bless his soul, he's dead now, but he was the most recruited running back of all times, that including Reggie Bush, Walter Payton, include him, right? And I took him out there. I took another player out there. He finished #1 in reception in 2000. James Jordan. And I love HBCU, right? But you have to teach the player more stuff, man. That if I get the player, of 100 people on the sideline. You don't send nobody to the NFL in 6 years. You don't send nobody to the NFL. If I said 600 people for 7 years, I would at least send 15 to the NFL.
I would say, Coach,
15.
you see, if you had 600, you sent 15. Coach Cole, are you there? Can I hear you, Coach Cole?
Can you hear me?
Y'all loud and clear, Coach. I hear you loud and clear. We got Coach Pep on the line, Coach.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach Pep. Hey, Coach Pep, we appreciate you.
What's that athletic director you just mentioned, Johnny?
Patrick Simon. He was in Langston.
Patrick Simon. Yeah. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
He's a good man. He's a good man.
Yeah. Yeah. They need more like that.
Yeah.
They need more like that.
Hey, guys.
But Johnny, the Texas Southern owe you in an interview, man, because they at least can bring you in and interview you, because that program, they just going all around the bush instead of through the bush. Right? That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, Coach Pep. Caller with the last 45240. You're live on HBCU Coach Corner with Coach Cole. What's your name and where you calling from? Caller with the last 45240. You're live on the HBCU Coaches Corner.
I ain't calling nothing. Coach Pep. Now, I grew up with Quentin Morgan and his brother Edward Morgan. If you could put in the chat, where's Edward Morgan? I haven't seen him in a long, long time. We grew up together as a kid. They stayed in a house on 31st Street in Lincoln Manor. If you could put in the chat where Edward at, I would love to know. Thank you.
All right, thank you, brother. Where are they now? We looking for Edward Morgan. Hey, Coach Cole. Hey, this has been a long show, Coach. And Coach Pep said that you need to go and interview for that TSU job, Coach, right now, this minute. I don't think that's how it works. You don't decide what jobs you interview for. You have to be invited to an interview, Coach. But if they call, would you come?
Coach, I got it all up here, Coach, and I could repeat my actions, and it's been a while ago, and I ain't that same old man back in 2010. They say the wine gets better in time. And hey, I'm a phone call away. Because I love my institution, and ain't nobody gonna stop me from loving TSU. See, they gonna come and go. And 1 year, when I get 70 or 80 and walk back on that campus, it's still gonna be my campus in my school.
Hey, Coach. Hey, your love for your school endures through anything, Coach, and I admire that about you. Coach, last thing I want to say to the people who logged on to see the interview with Coach Terrance Graves. We scheduled the interview for tonight. We don't know what the situation is with Coach Graves, but he wasn't responding to text or phone calls. We hope that he and his family are in good spirits and in good health. But it was, for whatever reason, we weren't able to bring him on tonight. Maybe we can reschedule him at another time. I appreciate everybody who logged on to see Coach Graves, the only coach to win the BAYOU Classic on both sidelines, Coach. Did you know that?
Yeah, I know that.
All right, Coach. Go ahead.
I knew Terrance as a young coach, and I'll be honest. I hope nothing has happened to his family, because that's what's going to take for me to not have some words for Terrance. I hope not. He should know better than that. And a man that lead men should know how to call or text. You know, we shouldn't do people like that. This is a serious show, Coach, and this is a show about uplifting Black men, uplifting HBCUs. This ain't no, you know, we spend 2 hours on Tuesday night, Coach. You know, with our fan base, it's getting bigger, it's getting better, and you know, we want to uplift each other. So I pray to God there's nothing serious, but my phone is working, your phone working, and hopefully he'll be able to explain his absences.
All right, Coach. Hey, you a man about business, Coach.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
Hey, Coach, I'll let you take us out, man. This has been a great show once again. I would have loved to have had the interview with Coach Graves, but that didn't happen. But yet and still, we had many viewers on live with us, many calls, thousands of comments, Coach. I think everybody had a good time in spite of Coach Graves not making it. And but I'll let you take us out.
Well, first I want to say, let's get ready to vote. You know, Black folks, let's get ready to vote. We don't want, you know, we want to be able to love one another in America, get rid of all this, or at least some of these racial things to go down, you know, and voting is the way, you know. If you're feeling low and you're feeling down, you know, you always got to look at yourself. And if you feel yourself falling, you know, you got to hold on to that rope and tie a knot and hold on tight, because ain't nobody bad like you.